Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Wife is Planning to Leave Me, Has Left Me for My Best Friend, and They're Already Starting Trying to Get Pregnant. No joke guys, this whole story is about this guy who is relatively young, I would say probably late 20s, maybe early 30s at best. And this is a situation where this guy is like clearly the model husband. And you're going to see this as I go through his story. This guy's a really good guy to his wife, and in his mind, everything's great. Their marriage is wonderful. Also, this guy has a best friend who's like a brother to him. They've been best friends for like 15 years. He's like his brother. He's like a son to his parents. They've been through a lot, was the best man at his wedding. Well, this guy, turns out she's having an affair with a best friend. No joke. And the thing is that the best friend, he and his girlfriend broke up, and then his wife went, because they're all friends, went to console him. And guess what? He started to notice very strange behavior with his wife and best friend afterwards. And there were definitely some odd things, and there's red flags, and one thing comes to another, and they finally then come clean and tell him this. And the guy, as you can imagine, is heartbroken. And I'm doing this story, guys, to show you that it doesn't make a difference how good of a guy you are. This type of crap can happen. And I tell you many, many reasons why you shouldn't bother getting married in this day and age, and here's yet another one to show you. But at the end of the day, this guy, he's now working on getting his life back together, and I think he'll definitely do a good job in doing so. And also, there was a lot of radio silence with his wife once they came clean about what happened. But once this guy was ready to serve her with some papers, then all of a sudden she wanted to talk. So I'm going to share this story, guys. You're going to see what I'm talking about. And again, it's going to show you that just, unfortunately, in this day and age, how things have gone, it's not worth it. Getting married isn't worth it because, yes, there are some cases that things actually work out okay for some people. They got good marriages, but by and large, it's not good. Not in this day and age. So I'm going to start off here saying, story starts off, I guess I should call him my former best friend at this point, but it's hard to accept it's all gone just like that. You spend so many years with a person building a relationship, and one day it all turns to dust. I've known him since high school, 15 years ago. He was like a brother to me and like a son to my parents. When we were younger, we were at each other's houses all the time. He was always coming with my family on trips, and I did the same with his family. We've done so much together. He was the best man at my wedding, and I would have been the best man at his wedding. Many trips and nights spent out together. Many times we helped each other. Many conversations about life, love, and ourselves. He was always my go-to person in tight situations and when I needed advice. It's hard to say how much losing him hurts because for whatever else he had, he was always there for me when I needed him and a solid source of advice. He was a true friend until he wasn't. It may be as big of a blow to lose him as losing my wife. Guys, best friends do not come around every day. Okay? The best friends I have, believe me, it takes, you only get so many really, truly best friends that are like brothers to you that honestly come along in your life. And honestly, the older you get, the harder it is to make friends because you get set in your life and routine and you just don't have an expanded environment to meet new people like you do when you're younger, like in college and things like that, So, you have a best friend, guys, that guy is your brother or your brothers if you have multiple best friends, okay? And you don't do anything to screw that up, okay? But it's amazing to me to hear these stories about these guys that were best friends, and the one is then cheating on his best friend with his girlfriend or even worse, his wife. It's crazy. But, karma's a bitch, so, this particular story, it's going to be interesting to see what would happen to this guy who does this to his friend here. And in many cases, losing a best friend, in this story is probably way worse than him losing his wife because he's known twice as long as the wife. And, again, it was his brother. So you don't ever do that, guys. As the saying goes, bros before hoes. You never put women ahead of your best friends. Ever. There's plenty of options out there if that's what you do. He says, I've been married to my wife for almost 5 years, but we've been together for 7. I remember when we first met. Love at first sight. She was gorgeous and had these really piercing blue eyes and a really infectious laugh. We hit it off, and to my surprise, she accepted when I asked her out, even though I felt like she was out of my league. I fell more in love with her as we got to know each other. She has such a passion for life and helping people. She was so kind and gentle with everyone, just a really warm person, and that made me fall more in love with her. This guy's a good guy. I've made that abundantly clear because I've obviously read this before I go through this story, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. But you can see right now he was talking about how in the beginning he thought that she was out of his league. That's not a good place to start, because if you think somebody's out of your league, your behavior, the way you are around them, the way you talk, the way your body language, all that, it's gonna give it away. And when you put somebody on a pedestal, they're gonna look down at you one way or another. They're gonna feel a little superior. People don't respect people that look up to them like they're better than you, okay? So don't do that, guys. I know it can be hard in situations with whether it be people you idolize or for you guys to do date and pick up in relationships for a chick that you're really hot for. You can't do that. Don't have that they're out of my league mentality. It's not going to end well because they can pick up on that. Trust me on that. And the whole his love at first sight thing, that's for movies. That's for romance novels. That's not reality. But you can see the kind of guy this guy is. But he's a good guy. He says, I love being married to her, and I always felt our marriage was great, not even just good. I was not one of those husbands that let himself go. I took care of myself and ate well. I remembered all our anniversaries and special dates. When she talked to me, I listened and paid attention. I took an interest in her life genuinely because I loved her and it was important to me. But I also gave her space and avoided being too needy or clingy. I made sure to do my part around the house. I cleaned as much as she did. Our sex life was great, as far as I could tell. I did my best to love her and care for her the way a husband should and show her she was appreciated. I tried my best to keep dating her after we were married. I can say without any doubt that I never took her for granted. I don't know what else I could have done wrong. I don't know what else I could have done. I've asked myself that over and over again and still don't know. I wonder if I did too much. Did she think I was too much of a pushover? Did she not respect me? Hard to say. I mean, I don't know all the situation, but given what he was saying here, they got married. He kept taking care of himself, obviously exercising and eating well. Most guys let themselves go once there's a ring on their finger and they become fucking slobs. He said he would continue to date her and take her out. Again, a lot of guys, once they get hitched, they don't do any of that anymore, and they wonder why the woman's upset and feels like he doesn't care. I'm just being honest here. He says in his mind, he didn't act needy or clingy. That's a big thing that a lot of guys will end up doing. They make the wife their whole world. He didn't do that, so that's good. Obviously, this guy had a best friend. They were hooking up. That's good, and a lot of other things. So you can see here in his mind, I'm doing everything right. But it's a possibility that things were just too good for her. Too easy, too smooth. Not enough drama, because I told you women love drama. Who the hell knows? But this guy, he obviously was doing, in his mind, things right. But obviously, things weren't as good as he thought they were. Otherwise, she wouldn't have eventually had an affair with his best friend and all that. He continues, I'm not saying our marriage was perfect. We did have our arguments, but they were never major ones. All relationships are going to have differences of opinions. And anytime you involve a woman in something, there's going to be some drama because they can't function without drama. Some way more than others. Now, here's where things go south. The trouble started when my best friend broke up with his girlfriend. He was pretty upset about it and took it hard. I talked to him, but my wife asked me one day if I cared if she went out for a coffee with him to talk and give him a woman's view and opinion. I told him that was fine with me. She and my best friend were also friends. We've done couples trips with my friend and his girlfriend, and she'd also hung out with him tons because he was around me so much. So they were hanging out without him. That's what it sounds like. You want to believe that nothing would happen. This guy obviously did. He wants to believe that his buddy would never do that, and that his wife, who he loves so much, would never do that. But look what's happened, right? I didn't think anything of it because their relationship never seemed inappropriate. Keyword seemed. I do remember him saying I was lucky and she was attractive when we first started dating and when I married her, but there was no inappropriate jokes or anything like that. My wife may have said he was handsome at some point, but that was it. I saw no red flags. And even after thinking about it more, I still don't see any. I never saw anything which made me think there was ever a chance of them being more than friends. Who knows? Maybe they were masters at hiding it, or but prior to the whole breakup thing, which he was talking about. Or maybe this guy really just turned a blind eye and just he saw things the way he thought that things really were, and just didn't pick up on all the different clues. Who knows? When my wife came back from coffee, she seemed a bit off. She was really angry with his ex and said that he deserved better. I remember telling her something like, he's young and he'll mend in time, and she seemed very upset by this. She said that he needed time and that whatever girl ended up with him would be very lucky and his ex was a fool to leave him. I may be misremembering parts of that conversation, but that was the basic gist. She was very sparse on details and very vague. But it didn't seem weird to me at the time. It seemed like she was being protective the same way I would be protective of him as my friend. Her behavior started getting stranger after that night. She wasn't doing anything really overt or suspicious, but she was vague about what she was doing. She would say that she was going to see one of her friends or off to run an errand, stuff like that. I'm not a controlling person, and she never gave me a reason to doubt her, so I didn't make an issue out of it. And really at the time, I didn't find it so strange. I noticed my friend was being weird too, but I thought it was because of his split and him being depressed. I would invite him to hang out, and he turned me down, which was unusual. He never had a reason other than that he was busy. I started seeing less and less of him, and when I did see him, he was different. I would not say nervous, but definitely seemed not to be comfortable. So the wife's acting weird, the best friend's acting weird. You got to start connecting the dots. Guys in life, you got to pay attention to your surroundings. You got to pay attention to the people around you, because when it comes to people, human beings, human nature, a lot of ugly sides to it, and a lot of people don't want to believe that, my friend wouldn't do this to me, my brother wouldn't do this to me, my wife wouldn't do this to me, but unfortunately, to protect yourself, you got to have your mind open that anything can happen. It's really unfortunate. And unfortunately, a lot of the wisdom that one can gain throughout life and life experience, it's unfortunate that you can't have that when you're younger. Otherwise, you wouldn't get burned as much as you would, or things like that, But this guy's obviously will learn a hell of a lesson here. He sent me a message, asked me to stop by his house one day. He said that we needed to talk about some things, and he had to get some stuff off his chest. I drove over there not suspecting anything. I knocked on the door, and he came to answer. I tried to make some jokes and liked the conversation, and he completely ignored me. He asked me to go into the living room, and there was my wife sitting on the couch. I don't know if I knew at that moment, but I did feel a sense of dread start to come over me. You're damn right. He goes over to his buddy's house, and there's his wife on the couch, and obviously not looking very happy about the situation. You're damn right something's up. She started crying almost as soon as I walked in, and he jumped right in and told me that there was no easy way to say what he was about to say, but he and my wife were in love and wanted to be together. Ouch. I stood there completely stunned. I felt like I was even alive for a while. When I started to come back to my senses, they both tried to say how sorry they were, and they both loved me and regret it happening. I don't give a damn how sorry you are. And then I would say to the wife, stop crying, stop putting on the waterworks to make me feel bad. They told me that this just happened, and they never intended for things to turn out like this. Bullshit. They knew they were wrong, but it didn't matter because they were in love. They both promised that they had not had sex, and it was only an emotional affair. I'm not sure if that is true or not, but I don't know if it really matters. Yeah, right. They were hooking up. I don't care what they say here. Maybe it's easy for this guy to deal with the situation right now, as he's obviously, scarred from this, to think that maybe they weren't hooking up, but, come on here. They're hooking up. That is so low. His best friend, the guy at 15 years, and this guy's his brother, and he's hooking up with his freaking wife. Oh my God. There is a special place in hell for guys like that, for people like that, okay? But karma's a bitch, and I guarantee you one day it will come back to bite this guy in the ass. And her. She's bad, don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, the best friend is worse, because this guy is his brother. They've been friends for 15 years, and he's doing this. Not cool. This guy has an ass kicking coming to him. That I can tell you. And that's basically where we are now. Since that day, I've gotten more texts from them apologizing and once from my wife asking if it's okay and telling if it's okay, get the fuck out of here. If I'm okay and telling me she's here for me and still cares for me. But I mostly ignore them. They aren't as frequent anymore either. She decided to move out of the house. I didn't ask her where she was going, but a friend of mine told me she moved in with my former friend as soon as she left. That was only a few months ago. She stopped by the house a few days ago to pick up some things. I tried to avoid her, but then she asked me if I had a second. She told me that she and my former friend are trying to get pregnant. Oh, for God's sakes. She wanted to give me a heads up so that we can deal with it as we go through our divorce. She also wanted to tell me personally because she felt like I deserved to know and hear it from her. Oh, how nice of her. It hurts so much to hear how she's already moving on. We wanted to have children together, but she wanted to wait until she turned 30. Now he's going to get to be the father to her children, and I'm going to have to watch her carry his child. Poor guy. Clearly, obviously, really in love with her and had his heart ripped out and stomped into a million pieces. Feel bad for this guy. But you know what? They could have had kids and then had this happen, and then he'd then have children with her and have to deal with her the rest of his life, and then the whole back and forth with the kids and all that. At least this guy can truly move on here. But, you know, the whole her waiting till all of a sudden magically wanting to then obviously get pregnant with the best friend's child, this is her way of locking in the best friend, guaranteed. I'm here looking for any advice you can give me. I don't know how to deal with her getting pregnant. I feel like that's going to be a struggle and a source of pain once it happens. I feel so jealous of him because he's getting the life I wanted with her. I also know that her getting pregnant is really the end. Once it happens, there's no chance we could reconcile. I've considered asking her to try counseling, but I haven't because I doubt she would be interested since she wants him and a life together with him. To this guy, it's over, okay? I mean, obviously this guy's not going to see this video, I don't think, but to this guy, it's over, okay? He has to move on. End of story, okay? There's no, even if she was willing to do that, or even if she came back saying she's sorry, you can't trust her. And after what happened with the best friend, hell no. And obviously with the best friend, that guy is dead to him. Hell no, it's over. And counseling, no, that's a bad idea because the counselor is usually typically a woman and will want to try to usually side with the woman. I also don't know how to process all this. I don't know how they could both do something like this or how I could not see it. I don't understand why she left when we were happy. Well, she probably wasn't as happy as this guy thought she was. I feel like I don't believe in anything anymore. If you can't trust your wife and best friend and a marriage doesn't last with as much effort as I put in, then nothing is real and life is just all one big lie. It sucks for this guy, it really does on so many levels, but most of what we're led to believe with regards to marriage and relationships and the one thing is a bunch of crap. A lot of it is just bullshit. It's all a big, it's the greatest, one of the greatest stories ever sold, okay? It's from movies and TV and commercials and songs. It's trying to sell this idea, which is a bunch of crap. And unfortunately, you have to be through some bad experiences, have a lot of life experience, or learn from others' bad experiences to realize this and not get burned ever again. But it's a shame. Continues on. Now he has an update. He says, first of all, I want to thank everyone who commented and everyone who sent me messages of support. The last few days have been the best I've had since my wife left. I feel like I'm at least able to now think of what comes next. That's good. He's moving on. I really don't know how to thank you all, but just to know that the support I've gotten has helped. I don't have much of an update, but I thought you guys deserved to know about a few things. He says, number one, I decided I'm going to message my former friend's ex to see what her version of the breakup is. Nothing may come of it, but I think I have to at least see if I can find out anything else. I'm sure the ex-girlfriend of the former best friend will be more than happy to chit-chat with him and let him know if anything was going on. Number two, I talked to one attorney, but haven't really gotten serious about a lawyer. Next week, I will start a serious look for one. My friends and family have given me some recommendations, so I will go through their list. Definitely talk to the lawyer and get everything you possibly can get out of this divorce. This guy deserves it. Number three, I don't know when it will start, but I'm pretty sure I'll enroll myself in some type of counseling. I don't feel like my mental state right now is very good, and I don't think I have the tools to pull myself out of this. I need help. That's great that this guy can admit that I got a problem, I need help outside like my family and other friends, and that he may seek professional help to help him get through this shit. Good for him, okay? Because a lot of guys, let's be honest, we're stubborn creatures, and the odds are most guys wouldn't do this, so good for him. I applaud him for doing that. It's not an easy thing to admit that you need help and trying to seek help from others. Just make sure you get the help from the right person or people. Number 4, I'm thinking of writing to my wife and ex-friend. Bad idea. A lot of you asked me why I didn't do anything to him, and when they told me, and that bothered me because I realized I never took the chance to tell them how I feel and how they've hurt me. I feel like they need to know, even if they don't care. No, cut them off. Cut them off completely, okay? Maybe the friend deserved a good punch in the face. That I would say the ex-friend deserved, but aside from that, no. They don't deserve anything from this guy, okay? This guy was a great guy to both of them. Move on. Okay, because they're not going to care. I mean, even if they feel bad a little bit, it's not going to change the situation, okay? This guy needs to move on completely in order to heal. They don't deserve his time. Don't waste one moment of your time on these two motherfuckers. Number 5. There were a lot of other suggestions about things to do and help deal with the situation. I'm going to make some changes around my house to try and make things more comfortable here until I can move. I will also try to keep myself busy, but in reality, the hard part so far has been nights when I'm alone and it's quiet like now. In a situation like this, guys, for any breakup or hard situation like this, one day at a time. That's it. Your mission is to get through that day, okay? And the next day starts when you wake up in the morning, and your mission is to get through that day, okay? And every day, it will get a little bit better. You're going to have moments when you're going to want to just start kicking trash cans and screaming and yelling, freaking out, but things will get better. Always. They will get better. But you got to distance yourself from all the bullshit that caused the problems in the first place. Next update he gives us. I want to thank you guys again for all the messages of support you sent and all the advice. I never expected internet strangers to care that much about me or my situation, but it's done me a lot of good to be reminded of how kind and good people can be. I try to respond to most of my messages, but even if it didn't, please know that I read them and it helped me to know as much that I had so much support. I also want to apologize. This guy's going to stop apologizing. I also want to apologize to everyone for not updating sooner. I know I have been saying I would post an update for a few weeks, but every time I thought about it, I just couldn't force myself to do it, but I'm in a good place to write it today. See? One day at a time. One of the things a lot of people recommended on the original was for me to contact my ex-friends, just going to say ex-friend for ease, ex-girlfriend to see if she knew anything about his affair with my wife. I did contact her, but she confirmed the ex-friend's story about the reason for the breakup. I asked if she had noticed anything weird or had any reason to suspect he was involved at all with another woman before they split. And she said she didn't have any suspicions. I doubt she had any reason not to be honest with me, and she seemed genuinely shocked that they ended up together, so I believe her. Trust me, if she had any suspicions about his ex-best friend and the wife or something else going on, she'd say it. In my first post, I added an update about writing my ex-friend and wife a letter for closure. Most of you advised me not to do this. I decided to follow your advice. Good for him. I wrote it for myself, but I didn't send it. I think you guys are right that it was better not to send it since they wouldn't care anyway. They wouldn't care. This guy's got to move on. Don't waste your time on those two. Ever again. I finally chose an attorney to represent me a few weeks ago. He was someone that was recommended to me, and I felt like I could trust him to protect me and make sure I came out of the divorce as whole as possible. I officially filed for divorce last week. That was a hard day, but I knew it had to happen. I won't say that there isn't a part of me that fantasizes about her coming back and saying that she made a mistake and wants to start over. But that's not realistic, and I can't live my life based on a fantasy that will never happen. The odds are it's not going to happen, or if it does happen, it'll happen years in the future when this guy has his life together and doing well, and she and the ex-friend are parting ways or some problem befalls her, guaranteed. And he can just say, sorry, sweetheart, you had your chance. And he'll be there with his girlfriend who's about 15 years younger and hotter than his ex-wife. And hopefully this guy does not get married again and learns his lesson the first time. I think any boost I felt leading up to the filing was taken away by the filing, and I've been feeling more depressed again. I looked into some personal counseling like you guys suggested, but I decided now was not the best time. I recently started a new project at work with some of the changes I've made in my life, and I've been staying busy, which helps. You gotta stay busy. In a breakup or whatever bad situation is, you gotta stay busy. Staying at home in your room and crying about it and all that isn't gonna fix the situation. You gotta get out there, keep busy, doing things to improve yourself, your life, and moving on. That's how you move on from any bad situation. Time can heal wounds. About the alienation of affection suit, I decided not to pursue it. I know that most of you wanted me to do this, but my attorney told me that it wouldn't be easy and he couldn't guarantee anything. I just don't care about the money. Even if I pursued it and won it, it wouldn't have changed anything. And my main desire right now is to be done with this as soon as possible. I've decided to move away and start once this is done. And I can't do that until my divorce wraps up. I think moving away is a very good idea. Sell the place, sell the house, pack up your shit, and move on. He doesn't have to move out of the city wherever he lives, but just get some good distance between him and the ex. Or if he wants to move to a different part of the country and start over completely, another branch of his office or someplace else, that could help him too. The only other interesting update I have is that after my wife got her papers, she contacted me asking if we can meet and talk. I haven't responded and don't know if I will. I don't feel like I have anything left to say to her, and I don't think she has anything to tell me that I want to hear. Yeah, now she wants to talk now that she's getting the papers. I think she wants to probably, be apologetic and be sweet and that hopefully he won't be as tough on her with the divorce terms. That's what my gut tells me here. No, don't give her the time of day. As far as what I've been doing, I've been running more. I've done some reading, tried yoga, and some meditation. I like the yoga, but the meditation, not so much. Work has been much busier, which is good. I thought about learning French, but I probably will put that on hold for now. I have some other projects I started for my hobbies. Took fishing up again, just really trying to stay busy so I don't have to have much time alone where my mind is idle. That's awesome. He's taking action to improve himself. He's running. He's working out. Going to learn some French, fishing, all that. Good. This is what you do, guys, when you got to get over shit like this. And, of course, always doing self-improvement and things like that. As far as what changes I made around the house, I got rid of a ton of trinkets and things that reminded me of my wife. I did end up getting a body pillow for my bed, and as dumb as that seems, it helped me relax more. I'm staying in the guest room, but I may move back into the master soon. It doesn't matter much at this point. I'm still not sleeping well and don't think changing rooms would make a difference. That's about it. I've been reading a lot more about failed relationships, and through some of the sites that were recommended to me, I watched one video on YouTube that has helped me reframe the way I thought about our relationship. I won't link it since I don't know if that's okay, but the short version is that the man giving the talk says that if the person you were with moves on quickly from you, that they weren't really your one. Well, there really never is the one. That's a myth. That's romantic nonsense from television and movies and romance novels trying to sell that idea to people. There is no the one, okay? And a lot of guys have a hard time accepting when the girlfriend cheats on them or breaks up with them out of the blue and moves on so quickly. A lot of guys just can't figure out what the hell happened. How could she move on so quickly? Blah, blah, blah. I can't move on so quickly. That's because women check out long before they actually leave. And they break up. Trust me on this. And a lot of guys never see it coming. That's why a lot of them can move on so quickly and they're already dating somebody else who they probably were hooking up with behind the scenes anyway. Because a lot of women won't leave and move out or leave a situation, a relationship, or anything like that until they have a backup already in place. They already got a new place to move to and all that. And that's why they can just move on. Okay? They've been planning it for a while. Okay, a lot of guys really get puzzled over that. I just want to mention that. I thought she was my one, but she never really was if she could do all this. He also made some really good points about memories and accepting when someone you cared about becomes a memory. That's really all I have to say. Not a really happy or eventful update, but that's how it goes, I guess. So that is the guy's story, guys. And like I said in the beginning, this is a perfect example that, even if you're doing everything right and being a great guy and great husband and all that, still, this crap can happen. Now, I don't know everything that was going on. This was him writing it. If his wife is writing it, you never know what she'd say. You know, obviously she would make it that she was the victim, guaranteed. But the point is, this guy's a good guy. He was doing his best. A lot of things that the best way to handle a relationship. He was taking care of himself. He wasn't letting himself get fat and out of shape like a lot of guys do when they get married. He was taking her out and courting her and dating her. That's good, because a lot of women complain that their husbands don't do that once they get married. Okay, this guy, what else? He had a life. He had a so-called best friend that he hung out with. He gave her space in marriage to have her, her friends and all that. He said he wasn't needy or clingy. But still, this is what happened. So I've warned you guys a bazillion times about not getting married. Again, this goes to show you, because in this stage, how things are in the West right now, the attitude towards marriage literally is like, well, doesn't work out, we'll just get divorced and move on to another one. That's the attitude here. Because there was a time and place when that wasn't the attitude, but that's how things are right now. So you don't want to be that easily disposable guy. Okay, so that's why I warned you guys. And as for the best friend, that's the worst. So guys, if you got a best friend, cherish that best friend. That guy is your brother, and you never do anything to betray that best friend. Ever, ever, ever. Okay? I don't care how hot his girlfriend is or ex-girlfriend. Even if it's your best friend's ex, you don't have anything to do with her. There's a code, guys. Bros before hoes. Don't forget that. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this story. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.